So here's some food for thought. Actually, speaking of food, I'm getting hungry for lunch. So isn't it interesting how Jesus used examples like that of hungering and thirsting for righteousness? So just a little message here that I hope is beneficial. But so as Christians, we have been commissioned to share Christ with others. So the obvious question arises, how do we share Jesus with others? And personally, I've felt the uneasiness and pressure regarding that question, to the point of even feeling guilty about it, guilty of feeling that way. Have you ever experienced the same thing? Maybe it's just because I'm fairly quiet and more laid back. But anyways, I began thinking about the commission that we have and what would be the best way to answer that question. It would seem reasonable to look at how Jesus himself interacted with those around him. What did he do? What did he say? What he didn't do, as I think back through Scripture, he didn't go around and announcing who he was to everybody. He really didn't disclose that except for very few instances. He showed who he was by the way in which he lived his life. And for the most part, and I think the main point of what he did was an example to us. So what did he do? How did he act? Those are some fair questions. If we become more like him, our actions will become a life of loving others, serving others, being kind to others, not necessarily one event where we're put on the spot or others may feel like they're being pressured. And that's the way I felt many times in the past, is like I had to walk somebody through all of these steps of what they need to do to become a Christian. I believe even without a word sometimes, I believe that those outside of the faith can hear God the most clearly by giving a hug, the expression on our face, just being kind, just being there for somebody. So acts of love and kindness, patience, forgiveness, and so on are also ways of showing the very nature of God. When we become more like Jesus, his nature becomes more apparent in us. It offers more hope and healing to those around us. And I believe it also helps us to see that God is changing us to be more like him. And when someone asks us for the reason for that hope, you bet that we're going to tell them about Jesus and about our story. But you know what? I believe that they will already know where that nature comes from. So remember the question, or remember the answer is in the question. So how do we share Christ with others? The answer is yes. Let's share Christ with others through love and kindness and allowing God's nature to touch others' lives through us. God has got this. I believe we are just instruments in his hands. God bless and have a wonderful day.